Hi, this is Steve Fay. I'm CEO of Totem Buildings. And on behalf of Cochrane Supply, I'm here to introduce to you the Totem Cybersecurity Risk Management Platform and the partner program that we created for you to represent us in your marketplace today. Today's presentation will start with a brief introduction of our company and the product itself, and then talk about this problem of cybersecurity risks that is really becoming a major issue for the building controls industry. Then in the third part of the presentation, we'll talk about how we take IT principles for managing cybersecurity risk and apply them effectively to our industry, and then get into some details about the product platform itself, and then how that leads up to a business opportunity for each of you to sell cybersecurity managed services on each and every project that you do today, including those that you've already installed and have running in the field. And lastly, an introduction on the partnership program itself and what it means to be a Totem trusted partner and how you can now provide Totem trusted solutions to your control systems. So Totem Buildings is a relatively new company. We were started in January of 2019. We are a software platform company. Our software runs in the cloud and is specifically designed to help you manage cybersecurity risks and in the future other types of building system risks. We market our product exclusively through partners. And the management team is very experienced in this industry. Some of you may know of me. I was the CEO of Tritium back from 2006 to 2012. In today's presentation, you're going to really start to understand just how big a threat cybersecurity is to our industry and OT systems or operational technology systems. We've come up with a solution that is based on the most recognized standard for cybersecurity risk management from NIST. We have used our solution today to enable you to offer managed services to your customers on every project you sell. And for sure, now is the time to become a Totem trusted partner. And that'll be very clear as I go through the partnership program. So let's focus now on the problem itself. In a nutshell, cybersecurity is no longer just an IT problem. Last year, Kaspersky, one of the leading manufacturers of antivirus software, came out and said that almost 40% of smart building automation systems are being affected by malicious cyber attacks. That may come as a surprise to many of you because of the relative infrequency of known automation attacks. One of the things about our industry is that when somebody gets breached, there's no government requirement to report that you've been attacked. So a lot of the information that's available in the media is very limited for that reason. But for sure, it's happening on a regular basis. One of our partners last December had 5 of their servers suddenly hit with ransomware on a single college campus. Harvard did a study and said 60% of attacks are the result of, can be traced back to publicly traded companies and the contractors and third parties who provide these systems. Great example of that is Target stores. And many of you probably know of Target. And in that example, the contractor was a mechanical service contractor out of New Jersey. And then the final example here is the major media company unintentionally disabled over 60% of their OT devices when they tried to use conventional IT scanning software to look for open ports on building control products. Our products aren't meant to be scanned in the same manner that IT servers are, and they resulted in shutting down more than half of their systems until the contractors could come in and re-enable them. So what are the consequences? And they are serious. You know, in our world, it's not so much about the data, it's about the equipment that we operate. We're real-time controls, we're in the real-time control system business. And so when malware infects our systems or hackers take over, they can cause serious damage to the equipment And they can cause a life safety problem as well if you're talking about an access control or video surveillance system. And when these systems go down, it absolutely affects the productivity of the operation. Many of the systems are connected to the corporate network, and this becomes a jumping off point for the hackers to get into the company's data. So there are many serious consequences, and it's not just limited to building automation. It can be the elevator system, the lights, the metering, and so on. As we know today, in most buildings, there are at least 4 or 5 smart control systems, and in the more sophisticated buildings, that number goes into double digits. When you peel the onion back, what you find is that the number one issue is this. It's a people problem. Our industry is not used to managing cyber risk. As a result, we don't have many basic IT-like processes in place and policies in place. And so we unwittingly create problems and opportunities for malware to infect our systems and hackers to breach our systems. To help you really understand where these risks are, let's take a typical diagram. Imagine that this is a Niagara-based web supervisor with 3 JASes connected to it. So Tritium provides good information on how to correctly configure this system from a cybersecurity perspective. The question is, are we following each and every one of the recommendations? Are we, for example, using shared passwords or failing to set the auto log-off setting? Are we using HTTP communications versus HTTPS? The differences are significant from a cyber perspective. Over time, do we actually know what types of devices are on the automation network? And so here, not knowing can lead to a disaster. This is exactly what happened to NASA recently in their Jet Propulsion Lab. A NASA engineer put a Raspberry Pi on the corporate network, and it was public facing from an IP perspective. A hacker found it, and they were able to get to the Mars rover plans and steal all that intellectual property. So knowing what you have on your network is important. Keeping the software updated and properly patched. It can be a challenge sometimes in our industry to keep things at a current software level. But this is critical when you're talking about cybersecurity. The supervisor, the web supervisor running on that server is a major area of concern from a cybersecurity perspective, starting with how current and well supported is the antivirus software on that machine. And are we using that machine for something other than the application itself? The number one reason OT servers get hit with ransomware is because other types of software having nothing to do with the application are being used. How physically accessible is the server? Can I literally walk into the control room and find that the monitor is been permanently logged into, and I can simply take over the system without any effort whatsoever? And last but not least, where does my backup live? If it's only on that OT server and a ransomware event occurs, you've just lost your backup. Now, in some cases, that server is also connected to the corporate network. So now it becomes a jump-off point to get at the company data. So if it's easier to get into this server than it is directly into an IT server, that's what the hackers are going to do. And exactly how do we communicate to this server from a remote perspective? If we're just buying an off-the-shelf router with minimal protection and we're using a public-facing IP address, well, I can look those up on 2 different types of websites today, one called Shodan and the other called Census. And there are hundreds of thousands of public-facing control systems in the industry today that are accessible. And accessible, of course, by the cyber criminals, and now they can take full advantage of it. But there's a bigger issue here, and it has to do with those who are intended to use the system. How well are we managing their credentials over time? So when an employee leaves the organization, how long does it take for us to remove that employee from access to the system? These types of procedures and policies are commonplace for the IT industry. They're less so for the OT world. So let's compare a little bit the facilities world to the IT world. In IT, the CIO is responsible for the infrastructure and the applications, and the CISO, or Information Security Officer, is responsible for the security risks. And it's well defined, and there are great budgets associated for that part of the business. When we go to the facility side, we have a very different environment. We have one where we're dealing with multiple manufacturers for each different type of system, and often each system has different contractors. And so what we quickly learn is that there are two unanswered questions, starting with who owns the problem of protecting these systems from cybersecurity risk? And then secondly, who's going to pay for it? Because often the facilities department doesn't have a budget for this. So this is just a reality of what exists today in the marketplace. There are certainly exceptions, and when those exceptions exist, generally speaking, the IT department is involved, and they are providing budgeted monies to help protect the systems. But it's not always the case for sure. So the answer, it's a team effort. Owners must really understand that providing policies and procedures to the suppliers is something that they're going to have to do in the future if they really want to protect the systems. Manufacturers need to be building better products with better features to protect their systems from security risks. And you, as systems integrators, need to learn what the best practices and policies are so that when you install these systems, you're doing it safely and securely. So now let's talk about the solution. Well, the first thing to understand in a generic sense is that managing cybersecurity risk is a process challenge. It's not a product problem. When you go into an existing system for a building owner, the first question is, what do I have? Building owners need to understand and have good records of every type of control system. They then need to look at each system individually and find out how they're configured. And then lastly, understand how they're connected. In the process of going through this assessment routine, if you will, they're going to find lots of vulnerabilities. And so the next stage in the process journey is to remediate and fix those problems. Well, at this point, that's great, but are you done? And the answer is no, because we're talking about cybersecurity. We're talking about a world that continuously evolves and where new risks are identified every day and new threats emerge every day. So the management phase begins with making sure you always have a secure, available backup to your system. It also means you need to continuously monitor these systems for risks. And finally, you need to have a way to report out when problems are uncovered. So what exactly is Totem doing to help with this entire process? Well, it starts with the fact that we record in the Totem platform all the buildings that the owner has, and associated with each building are the various types of control systems, the names of the manufacturers and the contractors that are supporting those systems. And then from a policy perspective, we provide a set of 30 generic policies that can be applied to any type of control system from a cybersecurity perspective. Then we allow you to capture information about the software versions, how the users are configured, how the network's data is properly encrypted. And lastly, we look at how you've established remote connectivity, look at your traffic patterns, and again, how the system has been configured to properly protect it from remote users. When we go into the management phase, we're very focused on making sure there is always a backup of the controllers, including the entire server, and so that in a moment's notice, you're in a position to restore that system quickly should it be subject to either a ransomware attack or just a hardware failure. From a continuous monitoring perspective, we combine drivers, such as a driver to the Niagara framework, along with manual audits where you gather policy information from the owner as well as the systems integrator to make sure that things are being done according to best practices. And then lastly, we combine all that information and display it on a self-configuring dashboard with drill down reports and even the ability to export the data to third-party systems. So our industry today, the OT industry, does not have a standard to go by. What there are many IT standards for cybersecurity, and Totem has chosen the NIST standard, which is called the NIST Cybersecurity Framework, as the basis for what we call a Totem Trusted Control System. And so we now know, having applied this approach in over 1,000 buildings, that this approach works very well in identifying the risks in any given control system. So let's now introduce you to the product itself. When you're starting out with an existing system or even a brand new system, the first step is to go ahead and run what we call the Totem Audit. The audit consists of 29 questions, and they're designed for you as a systems integrator to answer them. These questions should be able, once you're familiar with the questions, you'll be able to answer them in under 30 minutes. They're all very straightforward. And again, they're designed to identify all the key risks that I described earlier in that network diagram. The minute you complete the audit, you'll get a report. It'll give you two grades. One, a score summary based on the NIST framework, and then two, an effort level score. So one of the things to quickly appreciate is that most systems score poorly from a cyber perspective. So D's and F's are the common grade, but the important point is to understand what you can do about it quickly to get that score improved. And that's where Totem shines. We automatically analyze your results. We look at the easy things that can be done. By easy things, I mean things that are typically configuration changes, that if you do them, what will be the impact of the score? So in the example you just saw where the initial score came in as an F, by doing 7 minimal effort items, you now raise your score to a C. And for everything that we identify, we provide a written resolution on how to address the problem. So it's all about educating you on what the risks are and then giving you the guidance on how to fix them. Totems Future is really going to be around combining the data that we get through the audit process with real-time data. As I mentioned, we're developing a driver for the Tritium Niagara framework, and this will answer about half of the questions automatically that are done in the audit today, which means that over time, as things change, you'll get flagged immediately if any configuration changes are made that are out of compliance with the standard. But we're looking at integrating into all types of systems, whether they're for network scanning, for securing the network, for backing up entire servers. It's a very comprehensive approach to the open API that Totem has developed. And the results. The results all flow into this dashboard where, in a single glance, building owners and you as a systems integrator is able to see across all the buildings that you're responsible for how the security health looks for both an individual building and the entire portfolio. And you can drill down by location, by the type of control system, and by the installing contractor. So where does this all lead from a business standpoint for you as a systems integrator? Well, it leads to selling managed services. The 30 questions really are designed to get you to understand that there are 4 critical areas that need constant attention. They include that server, the network, the control system software, and lastly, the management of the users. These all represent managed service opportunities on a subscription basis. So let's take an example, the first one, of the server management. From Totem, We can provide a remote service for managing that server in all aspects, starting with backups. We put an agent on that server and we go in and do a full server backup. And then daily we go in and do an incremental backup. And then once a month, update the full backup. Provide a monthly test restore to make sure if you ever need the backup, it'll be ready and able to go. And anytime again, when you need that restoration, we're there to provide it. We maintain the antivirus, anti-malware software. We keep the operating system patched. And we even give you hardware status on the server to tell you the health of the server in the event that the server itself starts to uncover problems with, say, the processor or the memory. Similarly, on the network, you can buy a network managed service from Totem, and there are a couple options. The first is a conventional IT approach using a firewall and remote desktop software. And this provides VPN access to all of the remote users. As a service, we provide a Meraki firewall, the remote desktop software, and all of the technical support from our operating center, again, on a monthly subscription service basis. Similarly, in our industry today, there are alternatives to a traditional IT approach with a firewall. You have products from a couple companies, that one of which Cochrane represents, TazzyBox, and another that Totem is aware of called Tempered Networks. And in both cases, we can provide managed services using these solutions. And this is an alternative to putting in a more conventional IT solution for remote access. And there are definite benefits to this approach because both of these companies provide what's called a zero trust communications to all of the remote users. The next service opportunity is really to make sure that you as a systems integrator are keeping your customers' systems upgraded on a continuous basis. It is our recommendation that once a year, systems are upgraded to the latest release, and then if any security patches are released during the interim, that these patches are installed on a timely basis. This is a labor-only opportunity, essentially, for each of you, and it's a way to ensure that the systems stay current. And using cybersecurity is one of the key reasons to keep software maintained and up to date. And lastly, it's who's going to be responsible for managing the users, whether those users are part of your organization or work for your customer. IT system administration is a standard when you're talking about IT. System administration of users in our OT world is not typical, but it's absolutely needed. Someone needs to take responsibility for making sure that the users are properly administered when a new employee joins the company or an employee leaves the organization, and that periodically audits are done. Again, this is a labor-only service that we highly recommend be a part of every project and that is sold by you today. So you add up all these different services and you combine it with a Totem license. Well, as a partner, you can run our audit using what we call our partner licenses, our sales licenses, and there are 20 of these that come with your annual partner fee. And if you need more, they're only $20 per system per building. So very inexpensive for you to go out and audit each and every system you have. For customers that want access to the Totem environment, their license fee is your cost is $180 per year. Again, very affordable for them to get access to the Totem environment. But once you add all the subscription services, it becomes a very significant amount of revenue that can be added to every building system you install. So the server management is on the customer price is on the order of $2,500 a year. The network management is worth $3,600 a year, and so on. So there's a potential here on every project to realize over $10,000 in managed services revenue per customer. So with that business opportunity, we encourage you to become a Totem Trusted Partner. Why do this? Well, there are really two compelling reasons. First, protect your business. Differentiate yourself from the competition. Understand that cyber is a major problem, and your best defense is a good offense. Protect yourself from the legal risk by putting in place the policies and procedures that will guarantee that should the fingers be pointed at you, you'll be well protected because you've done the right things. Two, it's a business opportunity because you can increase your service revenues for each and every project you sell. So as I mentioned, there's upwards to $10,000 worth of service opportunities in our estimate that you have the ability to sell on each and every project. So this is going to not only grow your service revenue, it's going to give you an opportunity to talk to customers, new customers, about why they should be considering your company as a service provider. So to become a partner, we ask you to do a number of things, starting with running the compliance audit on all new projects. Use Totem as a standard by which you engineer all future systems to make sure they're compliant with the security risks that are inherent in any system that gets installed. Have at least 2 of your engineers trained in our methodology by attending our online certification classes. And finally, from an internal perspective, put in place security policies and procedures that ensure that the way things are being done for password administration, for providing secure backups, and for making sure that all of your machines are well protected from malware infiltration. All of that's in place as an organization. And monthly, attend watch our security awareness videos that we provide through a partner company that's called Ningio. So what's your commitment to become a Totem partner? Well, there's an annual fee. It's $2,000, and it includes unlimited participation in our online training classes. It includes 20 of these perpetual sales licenses that you can use to audit any and all of your projects, and then use that as a sales tool to show your customer where the risks are, and then how in turn to mitigate those risks with the various services. And then finally, you'll be able to participate in our quarterly security webinars for further training, as well as our monthly security training videos. Totem is a product supplier ultimately, and our job is to provide you with this risk management software platform and the continuous evolution of it, provide you with licenses that you can sell, and then finally managed services that you can sell to drive revenue for your company. From a support standpoint, we're providing you with product training, with cybersecurity sales training, as well as, and finally, engineering specifications that you can build into both Division 23 and 25 specifications. So that in the future, you'll be able to actually specify that the project is provided by a Totem Trusted Partner and to the specifications for cybersecurity risks that we've outlined. Finally, now's the time to act. As a new company, we encourage you to take advantage of this great offer. The program fee of $2,000 annually is delayed for the next 90 days. We ask you only to pay $100 per student to attend the online class. During the next 90 days, you can take advantage of unlimited number of these sales licenses to audit any and all of the systems that you may already have in the field, and to use that to quickly go out and sell Totem services to your clients. We will directly help you in the audit process, both from a training perspective and for helping you prepare proposals for your clients, and even assist with customer presentations if you so desire. At the end of 90 days, if the program is not to your satisfaction, you can cancel the agreement with no further monetary obligations required. truly an offer that you should not refuse. You'll learn a tremendous amount over the next 90 days, I assure you, from participating in this program. But better yet, stay with the program and really make yourself a leader in this industry. So with that, I thank you for your attendance today and watching this presentation, and look forward to hearing from you in the very near future.